Hey, paisans, the time has come. On the air since 2009, the independently produced, non-FCC compliant champ of video game talk podcasting. Here comes Tiger Claw Radio. Here's your host, Critical Failure.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to Tiger Claw Radio. This show is Critical Failure. This is the September series. We're doing the best we can, hanging on. And then in October, hopefully we'll be able to get these out Friday or Saturday again. So for this week, I have a couple of pre-recorded Captain's Log type deals that I'm going to roll through. Because let's face it, I'm barely hanging on. It's 5:38 in the morning. But that's okay. So we're going to start things off with a track from the latest Battle of the Bits compilation that we played. We played a track off of this last week as well, and we were playing a couple of tracks when they were still doing the Rumble. But now that we have the Bandcamp release, we'll take another look. And when we come back, it's Captain's Log time. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Stick with us. That is KGB 525 with See You Next Summer off the Summer Chip 10 compilation, available for free over at battleofthebits.org. Alright, boys and girls, let's jump ship and head over to the Captain's Log. Stick with us. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Morning, everybody. It's Friday morning, 6:20. Hopefully we can get through this week without quite as many yawns as last week. So the reason I wanted to do a little bit of a Captain's Log early in the morning, one second, sip of tea. Yeah, there we go. So the reason I wanted to do one of these is because Doom 2 on Steam recently had an update. And when I say recently, I'm looking at it right now, it's dated September 4th. So maybe like a week ago, week and a half tops. Major update, it says. Now what's interesting is Doom 2 on Steam for over a decade plus has been essentially a drag and drop port. I'm not going to say lazy, but it was pretty bare bones. It had the DOS version, and it had like basically a Windows port of the DOS version, which was fine. I mean, this was a game. Doom 2 on Steam was available like back in 2008. It's been quite a while. So, what does this have? First of all, it costs the same, which is good. Okay, I'm still cautious, but what have we got? It's like a Bethesda. It has a Bethesda splash screen now when you load it up, but more importantly, you get an option. Steam gives you an option, and it preserves the Doom 2 original. So my copy of Doom 2, I modded it pretty heavily. I can't remember exactly what the executable is, but I changed the name of the executable to something else. And then I went and got a source port, and then I changed the source port executable to the same name as the original Doom 2 executable. The idea being, you launch Doom 2 from Steam, it launches the source port instead of what it normally does, and then it counts your time while you play the source port. It's an old trick. Several different games on Steam you can do this with. Another great example is Wolfenstein 3D has the EC Wolf source port. It makes that game so much better. So this new Doom 2 update, I mean, even if you hate it and you're not interested in seeing Bethesda give Doom 2 a new coat of paint, it preserves your original, which is really okay. Now you've got my attention. This is okay. Because my biggest concern when something like this happens is Doom 2 is a game that's been so modded for so long. Don't break my original. Do you know what I mean? I all it takes is that one file, doom2.wad, and you can plug that into another source port. So potentially, even if they did break the original, you would still be able to use your classic mods from years ago. But they didn't mess with my install. My original install is intact, so they have my support on that. I'm looking at... now, I tested it not for very long. I didn't sit down and play a full game, but I did pop it open and just cruise the interface for like 10 minutes. And I have the notes in front of me. So here's some of the things that they have. The big one that I see is Deathmatch 3.0 in split-screen multiplayer. Split-screen Deathmatch has been changed, somewhat commonly known as in the community as Deathmatch 3.0. Weapons will stay in the world after being picked up. So apparently this something has been around for a while, but I'm just seeing... Maybe it's been a while since I played Doom 2. I don't know. But there's Doom 2 has split-screen multiplayer, boys, on Steam. That's... I don't know. I don't know why it's making me giddy, because I don't have anybody I can play Doom 2 split-screen multiplayer with. I mean, like, I've had it on the PS3 for years, and I never once got to do it. But it pleases me to see this decade-plus old Steam port getting some real... getting some real love. Yeah, and not only that, but the price didn't go up, and if you already had it, then you already had it. This is the kind of thing you typically see. It's unusual to see this being rolled out on an existing title. I would much more expect a company like Bethesda to be like, buy the Doom 2 enhanced version for another $20. I don't know. None of that. It's just, yeah, you got the game already. We'll fix it up. So good for them. I hope this is bringing Doom 2 to a new crowd. A couple of small tidbits. I noticed that when you launch the Enhanced Edition, they have like an add-on browser, where it's like you can download add-ons to the game. And that's where I kind of roll my eyes, where it's like, okay, you're not going to make this thing work with the external mods? Alright. Alright, guys. I get it, but that's fine. Yeah, that kind of sucks, but that's the part where it's like, this is not an all-encompassing replacement of the original Doom 2. Okay? Doom 2 is still The old Doom 2 is still where to get, Xandronum, all that stuff. This isn't going to replace all that. But it was a neat little thing. Cool to see him doing some more work on the classic Doom franchise. I really had a good time with Doom 64, which, according to Steam, I was playing back in April. So it's been a while. That was $5 very well spent. And Doom 2, did they do the same thing for the original Doom? That I'm not sure about. I'd have to check that one out. I kind of want to install it and check it out right now. We're going to do it. Yeah, we're going to install it. I'm not going to stay on the air while I go through running it. But yeah, I'll check out the Ultimate Doom and check back with you. I can't imagine they did anything like this for master levels. Because, yes, I remember what I was going to say. Okay, the server browser. Not the server browser, the add-on browser. My train of thought got derailed for a little bit, but now I'm back on track. So the add-on browser has got like a few small select extra episodes that you can just download or whatever. And interestingly enough, among the add-ons that are available are the 2 episodes that make up Final Doom. Okay? So, if you're just playing vanilla Doom 2, you don't have to buy Final Doom anymore, apparently. Is Final Doom even still available on the store page? We're going to check it out. I hope so, because Final Doom from the store gives you access to like the iWads or the WAD files that you can put into source ports and stuff. Yep, it's still here. Honestly, the level design is pretty terrible at times and is pretty inconsistent difficulty, but hey, it's more Doom. That is quite a review. Hey, you know what? We are going to do this on the air. I said I wasn't, but we are now. I'm going to launch the Ultimate Doom. Let's just see what happens. Play the Ultimate Doom, play the DOS version with classic controls. It's looking like this got the similar treatment. Yep, there's the Bethesda splash screen. Let's launch this and see what we got. 1993 to 2019, ZeniMax. Press to start. Thanks for logging in as Bethesda.net. As Slayers Club member, you'll receive exclusive in-game items for Doom Eternal. Yeah, okay, fine. I don't have Doom Eternal, but maybe. Deathless is required to join our awesome lineup for free add-ons to Doom. No client update required. Yeah, we've got Bethesda.net. Is now in the options. Add-ons. Play with add-ons at your own risk. And for add-ons, wow, it's the same thing here. So you're telling me I can play... The add-ons available for the original Doom include TNT, Evolution, and the Plutonia Experiment, which were Doom 2 things, not Doom 1 things. So you're telling me I can get this in my copy of Doom 1 and play it, even with the super shotgun and all that stuff being present in this game? I don't know. That's pretty neat. I don't know, boys. It's kind of exciting. But not much else to say here. How we doing? That was almost 10 minutes on Doom. Not too bad. It is 6:29 in the morning. Early Friday. So I still have my day of work ahead of me. I think I'm going to spend the rest of the morning playing some Doom. We'll go back to Doom 2 and give that a shot. And with that, I'll send you guys back to the studio. See you there. Back again in the studio. Just want to take a minute to thank the sponsors. This is a Patreon-sponsored program. The individuals who sponsor the show keep us coming back week after week after week. No matter what happens, no matter how early it is in the morning, no matter how busy the weekend is, I'm going to make sure TCR comes out for these individuals. So, to them I offer early access to the show. When October comes and this busy season is over, then I'll be able to get these out earlier, so supporters get earlier access. And I also like to read their names off in a hall of distinguished gentlemen, just as a tip of the hat to the individuals who keep us coming back week after week after week. They are Hemrock, EmeraldRangers.com, Tecmo Balls, Durabka, Konstantin Killen, and Eric controller. Thank you guys so much. I hope you're enjoying the show. And with that, I've got one more Captain's Log recorded just last night. Let's shift gears and take a listen. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Stick with us. Oh boy, this is being recorded on Sunday night at 8:16. What a weekend it's been. This is me doing the best I can to cobble something together, but there was an idea I wanted to float past everyone here on Tiger Claw Radio. So you guys know I've been into synthesizers lately. It's not really something that meshes too well with the video games audience, but you know, it's what I'm into, so I talk about it. In the synthesizer world, there is a running joke that they have called gear acquisition syndrome, and they refer to it as GAS. And it's treated, I mean, it's a running gag, but it's definitely treated like a real thing to watch out for. Don't just buy random things to make your music better. You got to be careful about this, because if you have a bunch of money coming in that's unaccounted for, I mean, it's easy to just go nuts and say, I'm going to buy all the things. Then you got a bunch of stuff that you're not doing anything with. All right, long story short, in order to avoid this, something that a practical thing somebody would do is, okay, I just got this new machine. I need to make sure I'm doing XYZ project with it to make sure I'm getting something out of it. It's perfectly logical. We don't have anything like that in the video game world, do we? Right? We are thoroughly encouraged to bloat our backlogs, like my Steam backlog, which runs back a decade. Jeez Louise. Yeah, we don't have anything like that. But you could argue that could be because of the difference in price. It's a weird thing. There's another big difference between video gamers and synth people is a video game will be like $60 brand new. Man, you just paid $60 for that game off the shelf. I'm going to get it next year so I can get it for, $20 or $40. Meanwhile, in Synthland, guess what, bros? I just spent $650 on a Mother 32. You did? Awesome. High five. How much did you spend on yours? Oh yeah, bro. I'm running the DeepMind 12, which I got for $900. Oh, awesome, bro. It's very weird. It's a weird thing. A sip of tea for gear acquisition syndrome. Game of the week for us has been Super Puzzle Platformer, which we've been playing in my house for a couple of weeks now. This is a game that I saw it on the Ouya back when the Ouya was a thing, but I don't know if it was originally developed for that or not. But it showed up later on the Steam store, and I picked it up, and this is an example of a game that sat at my Steam library for years, and we finally just dusted it off on a whim, and my son and I have been playing it, and man, this is a really good game. It reminds me a lot of Mr. Driller, but it actually is very much like Mr. Driller, except in Mr. Driller, you're trying to go downwards in your tube. In Super Puzzle Platformer, the pieces are coming upwards, and you got to stop yourself from getting too high. But apart from that, the mechanics are similar. It's something that at first glance looks like a vertical scrolling puzzler game, like a Tetris or a Pokemon Puzzle League, but you're actually controlling a character, amidst platform physics. But I dig it. It's actually really good. So that has been that has been our go-to game. I want to say for like 2 weeks now. Yeah. Oh boy, I'm looking around the office right now, thinking of more ways I can clean house and make room for new things. And I think the next thing on my chopping block is something I wouldn't expect. I think I talked about this on the air back when this happened, but I went through like a racing sim phase. It's been a couple of years now. I played a few racing sims, and during that time, I bought one of those racing wheels. Like the driving wheels. It has a clamp, and you clamp it to the desk, and then there's pedals you can put underneath the desk. And my particular driving wheel has what they call paddle shifters. Now, I'm not a car guy, but the idea is that they're wings that hang out in the back of the steering wheel, and instead of reaching down for a stick shift, you use those paddle shifters for your manual transmission, which is pretty interesting idea. Turns out, from playing the racing sims, that's actually a really common thing amongst like formula cars and that sort of stuff. So I bought this, long story short, during my racing sim phase, I bought this wheel, which was a Ferrari branded Thrustmaster wheel. It's a PC PS3 hybrid. Works very well, but it doesn't have any force feedback, because I hate that force feedback stuff. It was about $100, and all I really did with it, the only real fun I had with this wheel was playing Euro Truck Simulator. It's the weirdest thing. I didn't really have a whole lot of interest in using it for the racing games. I tried it in a few entries in the F1 series. I tried it in, I can't think of the racing game I used to play. I think it was called R Factor. Was the one I settled into. R Factor, Project Racing, and Assetto Corsa. Those were all the racing sims I played. I tried it in all those games, man. It just, I don't know, it didn't do anything for me. I'm looking it up on the shelf. I'm thinking about letting this thing go. I don't know how I would do it, though. The rest of my stuff, like, this thing's a little bit big for me to sell on eBay. Do any of you play racing sims? Is that a thing? Am I alone in this? Like, it's the kind of thing where I kind of knew it wasn't going to stick, but it's a wide world of video games out there. I wanted to try them all. I know that racing sims, the racing sim like niche, like that community, that's a well that runs pretty deep, and I just kind of wanted to peek inside and see what was there, and that's all it was. That's how I ended up with this wheel. The problem is now space is becoming an issue. And I'm looking around and I'm really being honest with myself about the things that don't have any sentimental value and are taking up space and are not getting used. And that's, I think, the very next thing. But it's a great wheel and it's in great shape. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Any racing sims out there, sim fans out there, give me a holler. I honestly don't know how to ship it because I haven't been to the post office since the pandemic. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll throw it in a box and hold on to it for Tigerfest and then pass it along at Tigerfest or something. I'm looking forward to that, man. That's where we should do our great retro box, our retro junk box. Is we should just come with trunks full of stuff to Tigerfest, and it'll just be like a flea market / swap meet. It's like, hey man, I got stacks of PS2, Xbox games, got a few NES games I wouldn't mind letting go. Yeah, just throw all that in a box. Hey man, take whatever you want. All up for grabs. Doesn't that just sound like a children's fantasy? The kind of thing kids used to. I don't have the thing where all the games are there, they're all free, and you just take them. Oh, good times. How are we doing? Alright, so let's do some sort of hybrid amalgamation of On the Desk. On the Desk. Quick recap, if you don't remember On the Desk, this was something I came up with after losing out on a sponsorship like 10 years ago, however long ago. It's a game sales company. They were like, you don't talk enough about physical games, and so they passed over me. No big deal, but I invented this idea to try and talk about physical games again somehow. And it's just whatever I have on my desk, let's just take a look. But since the stuff on my desk doesn't change that much, I mean, right now I'm looking at my desk. I have my Behringer TD3, which is a gorgeous 303 bass, analog bass synthesizer. Anybody who's ever wanted any kind of analog synthesizer, the Behringer TD3, that's the place to start. Oh my goodness. Beautiful machine. Love that thing. I have that, and then like a spaghetti mess of
guitar pedals, and I have a little 4-channel mixing board plugged into another 4-channel mixing board. Yeah. The point I'm making is not a lot of video games on my desk. Not a lot of video games on my desk. I game there a lot, but it's usually just on my computer. So, in order to do on the desk, I have to tour the room. That's really how it's done now, which kind of defeats the purpose, but that's okay. The star of the show tonight is the Wii. Okay, so the Wii is a system that is probably the most played of my consoles right now, because personally, when I want a game, if I want to play a game for me, for old CF, I'm going to sit down at the PC, I'm going to fire up Steam, and that's usually what gets played. It being September and being really busy at work, it's a lot of idle games right now. Sometimes I'll play something early in the morning. Super puzzle platformer with my son when we can find a minute. But my oldest son and my daughter, they both go back and forth on the Wii. They like it a lot. My daughter, in recent weeks, she's discovered Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which has been pretty cool. She played Super Smash Bros. Brawl for a couple of weekends in a row, and then she shifted back to new Super Mario Bros. Wii, which is still a good game. I hated that they used the word new in that game, because now it's, how old is this? 2009? Jeez. It's more than 10 years old now. But it still says it's new. New! Wee! Yeah, I don't know. So those get a lot of play. But because the Wii gets played so much, my attention has been drawn more than once to my stack of Wii games that I have nearby. Now, this isn't my complete Wii collection, because I got a few things downstairs, but this is most of the games I have that I care about. Particularly one, and I talk about this every time the Wii comes up. My Wii version of Impossible Mission, which, if you own a Wii, okay, all right, I'm not. You know what? I'm not even going to beat around the bush. Sean, I'm talking to you specifically. Do you have a Wii, bro? If you do, get on eBay, get yourself a copy of Impossible Mission. Another visitor. Stay a while, stay forever. And it's written in Comic Sans on the back of the box. There was a period of time where my son was in preschool, and I was in college, so I would take him to preschool, and then while he was in preschool, I would go and, usually to like a Panera Bread or something, and get a cup of coffee, and I would work on schoolwork, study, write papers, all that sort of stuff. But the Panera that I would go to, it had a GameStop in the same shopping center. So there were a lot of mornings, if I had cash in pocket, I would walk over to the old GameStop and see what they had. Now, at this particular time, this was right around the time they started to dump the Wii games. Now, people could talk all day about awful stories about GameStop. All the terrible things that GameStop has been responsible for in the gaming industry over the years. All the bad stories about hard dealings with people behind the counter being dumb. There's a lot of videos on the internet of people freaking out in GameStops. It happens. But in GameStop's day, if you made it into that store when they were dumping for any given console, that was the time to be there. Historic deals. Matter of fact, that in the last couple weeks, when I've talked about games I'm selling off, all the games that I have that are like worth money, that weren't gifts, I probably bought from a GameStop while they were dumping from that console. But that brings us back to the Wii. So what do I have here for that system? King of Fighters collection, the Arichi Saga. Oh yeah. This one wasn't pennies. $7.99 is what it's marked as. I looked this up when I was figuring out what I was deciding to keep and what I wasn't. I think it goes for like 10 or 15. Like maybe 15. I think you like the average is like 20, but if you're going to really dump it, you can price it at 15 and it'll actually sell. And I really considered it because setting aside the fact that King of Fighters is a game that I have on Steam a couple of times over, the King of Fighters games on Steam are really well done. They have extra modes, okay? It's the Urichi Saga on the Wii, it's missing the extra modes. And by that, I mean King of Fighters is famous for being the team fighting game, right? You got to pick a team of 3 players, 3 characters. You can't just main one character in King of Fighters. You got to have a team. That's the way that game works. Now, the special editions, the later ports of King of Fighters games, they added in single player, like single 1v1 matches. So you can play them more like a traditional Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat kind of thing. Those later ports was how I first experienced King of Fighters. So that's kind of how I have to play it. The Arichi Saga on the Wii, being a collection of several games, I think these are just like the arcade ROMs, to be perfectly honest. Because we've got 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. And in not one of these games, 5 complete games, every single one requires you to select a team. There is no single 1v1 match in the Arichi Saga. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it. If I'm going to play King of Fighters, let's be perfectly honest. I'm going to sit down at Steam. I'm going to hook up my Kanba Obsidian $200 arcade stick, or I'm going to use my Hori fight pad, and I'm going to play King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match on Steam. The biggest rouster, the most compatibility with controllers, online that functions, because the Wii doesn't do that anymore. I don't know. Maybe there really isn't a reason for me to hold on to that. I'm on the fence on whether or not I need to keep King of Fighters for the Wii. But I tell you what, I would let it go if any one of my boys wanted it. All right? Any of my homies out there who listen, if you want that for cheap, hit me up. We'll see what we can do. Or maybe I'll just throw it in my box for Sendu when I get my package together for Sendu. Because there's a guy who I owe an arm and a leg for sure. That's King of Fighters: The Arichi Saga. Now that was one of like, I think 4 or 5 games I got at that time when my son was in preschool and I would go get my work done. Not going to go in depth, but that was also how I got Impossible Mission. That might have even been the same day. I got the SNK Arcade Classics for the Wii, which is a fun little collection. And D-Blob I got as well. I feel like there was one more, but I don't know. Yeah, that's 4. Maybe that was it. I also got a bunch of Xbox 360 games at the time, because I remember playing a lot of Dead or Alive. Like I got Dead or Alive 4? Dead or Alive 4. I got there. Enemy Territories, Quake Wars, I got there as well. Did I really pay $12 for this? Yeah, I guess I did. And I've never put it in the machine even once, golly. I think the Xbox 360 is the collection that took the hardest hit when I started cleaning house. I don't have many of those Xbox 360 games anymore. I've got a copy of The Sims 3, which I picked up for pennies that I'm going to sell. I've got Star Ocean, The Last Hope, which I have it because it was a gift from my big brother. So I can't let that one go. Enemy Territories, Quake Wars, I think that's on the chopping block. I've got Gears of War 1 and 2. Again, they were being dumped at GameStop. I got these. Gears of War 2, 89 cents. They didn't even make me... Yeah, oh no, that's the club price. 99 cents. Oh. I think I actually cleaned up my Gears of War OG box when I was trying to see how to clean boxes. Yeah, those two. And I got Halo Anniversary when they remade the first game. Of course, that was a gift from my older brother. I had a lot of fun with that one, though. And then I've got a copy of Halo 3 that I don't remember getting, and Dead or Alive 5. That's it. I'm pretty sure that's the entirety of my Xbox 360 collection. I have a few games downloaded, like that I got off of XBLA, but I'm done buying their service. So, Yeah. Telling you, Death Adder, I still have a card here. I've had it for years. Pennies on the dollar, brother. Come on, man. You want Xbox 360 for one more year. Xbox Gold for one more year. You want that. Yeah, you do. I'm sure you do. Or maybe you don't. Maybe I want to hold on to that while I'm busy cutting this deal with old Light Studios himself, who's being uber generous. I don't know. But that's oh yes, one of the things I let go. Okay, this is a tough one. I had to cut down on my arcade stick collection. Okay? Because I'm holding in my hands a Kanba Q1 arcade stick, which is an entry-level $60 arcade stick. It comes with big clamps, so you can clamp it to your desk, but I ripped those off, because they come off. I had that for years. I would use that. One of the popular videos in my channel is, hey, new arcade stick, PC games. That's that stick. And then I also have my $200 stick down there. That's 2 giant arcade sticks here. And then I had like 4 of them downstairs. So I let a couple of my arcade sticks go. Specifically the arcade stick for the Wii. I let that go. I let it go. What am I going to use that stick on? I got that stick. I think primarily it's supposed to be used for Tatsunoko versus Capcom, which I sold. So with that gone, I mean, I guess it would be kind of cool to use it on SNK Arcade Classics, so I could play my SNK games the way they're intended to be played. But if I'm going to go that far, then I'm going to use my $200 stick and I'm going to play them on the PC. Really. If I got to admit, that sounds like a heck of a way to play Shock Troopers. Man, what a good game Shock Troopers is. Is that even in this collection? Let's see. NG introduced me to the Neo Geo years ago, back in the emulation days when emulation was the hot thing. And Shock Troopers was not the first Neo Geo game I ever saw, but it was one of the first. Yeah, there it is. What exactly is on here? Art of Fighting, Baseball Stars 2, Burning Fight, Fatal Fury, King of Monsters, Last Resort, Magician Lord, Metal Slug. Metal Slug on the Wii is not great. It's got a lot of stuttering issues. Neo Turf Masters, Samurai Showdown, Sengoku, Shock Troopers, Super Sidekicks 3, King of Fighters 94, Top Hunter, and World Heroes. Okay, so I like Metal Slug as much as the next guy, but playing it on the Wii, it's got like input lag and stuttering issues. It's not a good experience on the Wii. I did play through it once. I don't recommend doing it, especially since it's so readily available on every other console in one form or another. Don't do it on the Wii. Wow, I'm looking at this list. I'm trying to figure out what usually gets played here. I hate to say it, but I think it's Samurai Showdown or Art of Fighting. As much as I know those are like a little bit derpy. Yeah, Shock Troopers is an awesome game. I kind of want to play Shock Troopers again. I don't know. Maybe I'll throw that in tonight once I get off the air here. Because I'm going to be honest. I'm starting work tomorrow. I need a little game time. Got to do it, boys. Got to recharge the old battery. What else is over here? Oh, that's my stack. That's my stack for Sendu. That's top secret. Sendu, old boy. Is that it? I thought I had more games over here to go over. Oh, good. Oh, good. I think we are caught up. How'd we do? 23 minutes? I feel like that was all right. Got a lot of games over here that I would let go that aren't going to sell. Does anybody here have any interest in having a copy of Final Fantasy X2? I didn't understand why that game was going for so cheap. Final Fantasy X2. What do you think? It didn't grab me. Like, I didn't hate it. I just didn't get hooked. I don't know. It's so weird. I remember that era. That was like Final Fantasy, just coming off the PS1 era. It was still like hot stuff. All right. That's okay. I can let it go. I have Final Fantasy 12 for the PS2. I don't care what anybody says. That game takes a lot of heat. People don't like it. I like that game. I thought it was super cool. That was... they were like... trying to make it look a little bit and feel a little bit like an MMO. I remember it kind of having an MMO sort of vibe to it. I dug it. It was cool. I don't care what anybody says. And with that, boys and girls, it seems weird to say this when I'm standing here in the middle of my office. But I'm going to send you guys back to the studio, which is right over there.
Back again in the studio, everybody. We're going to go through the comments from last week real quick. There were a few. Give me a second here, sip of tea. Oh boy. Yeah, we're in good shape now. So last week we got one from Desm101, our good buddy. He writes, "Nice job making this podcast in such a quick amount of time. I've been enjoying the discussions lately." Then he leaves a time signature from 29 minutes in. "I have some recent recommendations for a specific ODE or burning some discs. Try out Psychic Assassination Taumaru. It's a dark and unique side-scrolling action game. For shmups, I would recommend Guardian Force, Thunder Force 5, and Sengoku Blade. Also check out Kaio Flying Squad 2, Astral Burning Rangers, Legend of Oasis, Shining Force 3, all 3 scenarios with fan translations, and Sega Ages collections / releases, Outrun, Space Harrier, etc." So we got some good recommendations there from our good buddy Desm. A lot of this stuff I don't recognize, with the exception of Guardian Force, Thunder Force 5, and believe it or not, Kaio Flying Squad 2. The first Kaio Flying Squad was a Sega CD game, right? Wasn't it? Because I remember that. Weirdly enough, I remember seeing the Sega CD release going on eBay for like, I don't know, $300 at one point, which is weird for a Sega CD game. I remember hearing something. I think it might have been one of you who told me this, but that game like was fully released. They tried to make a demo release of it, and they botched it, and it actually contained the full game. I know. I'm sorry. Thanks, Desm. Got some good stuff in there. Death Adder writes, "I'm not sure where you could dig them up now, but you should check out Lucha Underground. It only had a few dozen episodes before it ended, so you could realistically watch it like a TV series and finish it. It's a combination of Mexican soap opera and Mortal Kombat. Another program you might like is NWA Power. It basically looks like a 1980s wrestling promotion. It sounds cheesy, but it's been one of the better shows to watch lately. They have all the episodes up on their YouTube channel. Do not, for the love of God, for any reason whatsoever, watch WWE." I also met Mick Foley at the 1999 World of Wheels convention. So there you go. We both indirectly probably shook hands via hardcore legend Mick Foley. Oh, the year before I met the Nitro Girl Fire and the Nitro Girl Spice at the World of Wheels, which was a big thrill for a tender little Death Adder, as you would imagine. If you were more of a WWF guy back in the day, you should fire up an emulator and try out WWF No Mercy. I believe it was THQ's last wrestling game for the N64. Therefore, it has the most features, and you get to play as Stone Cold. The 30-man Battle Royale mode in those games is a feature that a lot of people love. Something very satisfying about catapulting another person over the top rope. Yeah, I used to play the Royal Rumble in, I think it was, I think it was SmackDown 2. I used to play it in a lot on the PS1. Yeah, my buddy and I had a night where we stayed up all night playing SmackDown 2. Oh my gosh, 8 hours nonstop. And the morning came and just felt sick from being up so late playing video games. My goodness, what a good time. So, was No Mercy the game that had the song on the title? It was either the title screen or the menu screen. I don't remember anything else about the game except Dick Diggity Dog. That's it. being in the menu screen music. I think that was No Mercy. My buddy Engie was playing like 20 years ago or something, or 15 years ago. And I never played it much myself, but I remember laughing hysterically every time we heard that. Awesome, man. Death Adder, brother. Good to hear from you. I hope you're doing well. We'll have to indirectly shake hands again by individually meeting with a wrestling legend. Mega Menace writes, balls. Sonic should have been able to save the Sega Saturn. Wait, hold on. I read that wrong. I'm going to read that again. Balls. Sonic would not have been able to save the Sega Saturn. In short, you can watch my What Do You Think video on the 32X and Sega Saturn. I think there's a timestamp of 45 minutes in. Selling off inferior ports. What about Atari cards? Surely arcade ROMs are superior. Are you selling the drawer of Atari cards? Wow, that's a really good point. No, I'm not selling my drawer of Atari cards. I am opening it up and going to dig through it and sell off my duplicates, but I think that only applies when I have multiple ports of the same game. Right? So, if I were to apply that same logic, let's say I've got Ms. Pac-Man on Steam, but I also have Ms. Pac-Man on the Atari, then I could conceivably sell off the Atari game. And I tend to exclude Atari from that because the Atari games are so different, right? They feel so different, they look so different. If you're sitting down to play Ms. Pac-Man on the Atari 2600, you're looking for a different experience. It's going to sound, the sound, the feel, the way the controller is in your hands, everything's different, okay? If you're comparing games on like the PS2 and the Xbox or something, which is really what I meant when I made that point, comparing like PS2, Xbox, like the original Xbox, Steam, and then maybe in some rare cases Xbox 360, all of those generation systems together, the games on those systems that were on several different platforms, a lot of those feel very much the same. Oh, yeah. So you can, if you have multiple ports of a game from that era, in most cases, it's safe to just hold on to one and get rid of the rest. But you make a good point. It's an interesting thought exercise to think about, in going back as far as the Atari 2600 on that. Good to hear from you, man. Thanks for checking in. Light Studios. Balzac wants Saturn recommendations from me. Well, let's see. Alright, he has a big list here, so give me a second. I'm going to have to zip a team and we'll go through it. Shining Force 3. Shining Wisdom. Shining in the Holy Ark. That's a game I haven't heard of in a while. Panzer Dragoon 1 and 2, and Saga. Dragon Force. Bomberman Saturn. Die Hard Arcade. Nights into Dreams / Christmas Nights. Virtua Fighter 2. Daytona USA. Virtua Cop 1 and 2 with a gun, and Mega Man 8. That's enough for me. That's enough for now. Also, no, I have not bought any new Saturn titles in a while. Collecting is pretty much put on hold for me right now. P.S. Death Adder, don't be too jelly. The original Xbox is the original Xbox One, not the one with the 4K models, and the Series X comes out in a few months, so it's debatable if it's modern or not. Yeah, there's a lot of good games on that list. A lot of good stuff for the Sega Saturn I never actually got around to playing. But I had forgotten about Shining in the Holy Ark. That would be fun to play again. Also, I just think it's amazing that they came up with an entirely separate version of Nights into Dreams for Christmas. Yes, I know it was a short game, but Christmas Nights? Come on. When do we have anything like that anymore? Really? Now that kind of thing would be just DLC. That's just how it is. Sendu, my man, from Light Studios. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for checking in, brother. Hemrock coming at us with one of the most brutal comments I've ever read. He time-stamped all my yawns. He writes, hang in there. I know this time of year is tough for you. 4 minutes, 54 seconds in, yawn. 6 minutes, 30 seconds, yawn. 7 minutes and 11 seconds, yawn? I was like, I cut into a yawn, but I like tried to power through it, and all that came out was... Wah! Huzzah for Kazlab at 17 minutes. 20 minutes in, here we go. Here's actual comment. To answer Kazlab's question, I never owned a Sega console as a kid. I was primarily exposed to Sega Genesis via my cousins. I can still remember watching my cousins play Sonic the Hedgehog shortly after it hit the shelves. It was amazing. As far as Sega consoles that I own now as an adult, I have a Genesis, Sega CD, Saturn, and Dreamcast. I did have a Master System for a few years, but sold it a while back. And yes, I still watch Derek's videos. I watched his most recent punching weight episode yesterday. I'm sad I missed his stream. It sounds interesting. 46 minutes yawn, 47 minutes yawn, 48 minutes yawn. 50 minutes. A play-by-email version of my steampunk scenario in Civ 2 sounds awesome. It also gives me motivation to put the final touches on the game. Yeah, I would be down for that. I would be very down for that. The only problem with this, doing that play-by-email, we took steps to make sure, with Alien Crossfire, that we could cut through the early parts of the game as fast as possible. With the Steam scenario on Civ 2, yes, we could do it. Yes, I'm 100% down. But there's a lot of moving one unit, and that's the turn. You know? Or turns that just get skipped over in the wake of production early on. So we'd have to do something like... That's when I'd want to start with you, me, and Sean. Or whoever decided to participate. All in a chat, hanging out on Discord or Skype or whatever your flavor is, passing that save file multiple times in a single evening. That's really the way to drive a game like that forward. We did that once, I think, on Alpha Centauri, but it's been a long time. It has been a really long time. Would be fun to do again. 50 minutes in, he says, "Oh, sorry, you're right. Alien Crossfire is more of an expansion than a sequel. My mistake. Also, yawn. Get some sleep, my friend. Best wishes." Yeah, you know, it's funny about Alien Crossfire. Like, with the GOG version of Alpha Centauri, it didn't come with Alien Crossfire for a long time. One of the things that GOG has going on in the forums is there's like people voting on what, you know, the next GOG game should be. What's a game that should come to GOG? And the Alien Crossfire expansion being added to Alpha Centauri was like one of the top ones for a long time. Which is, it's the only reason I really remember it that way, as being an expansion, because everybody was asking for it. They called it like AXF or something like that. I can't stop yawning, dude. I have to choose between yawning on the air or not getting a podcast out. Do you know what I mean? This goes right along with the early philosophy I adopted of not over editing. Sometimes you've got to edit the podcast. There's nothing you can do about it. But I gave up on the idea of going back through the entire audio and deleting all the ums and deleting all the quiet moments and all that stuff. I gave up on that. I let that go in favor of getting out a show every week. So the imperfections, they have to be left in. And also, it's just it's part of the era. Do you know what I mean? These September shows, I'm super tired, but that's not a bad thing. I feel like it gives the show a little texture. It doesn't stay like that forever. We have a series of like maybe 4 shows where I'm just absolutely bushwhacked. So I have to get creative to come up with programming to keep the show alive for an hour. And I think some fun things can come from that, right? I think, as the saying goes, pressure makes diamonds. I like rising to the occasion because I think things like that have to happen in order to keep TCR different week after week after week after week. I'm always worried about falling into this routine where I sit down and do a podcast and what comes out is exactly the same thing that we've done every single week for years. That's something that like legit worries me. So the best way to stop that from happening is to change the environment. Change what I'm doing while I'm actually recording. You know what I mean? So that the feel of discussing things is different, right? It's the best way to fight against it when I can only really sit down to play video games a couple times in a week. So when we meet next week, I'll probably be thinking about exactly the same games I was thinking about this week. That's another big issue that I'm working on. So, yes, it's tough to do these early in the morning. Yes, it's tough to do these in September. But tough is not a bad thing. Don't be afraid of tough, okay? I just realized we're about 56 minutes in. Is that the last comment? I think it is. That's the last comment on last week's podcast. Hemrock, brother. By the way, sincere apologies that I didn't actually get an early episode into your email, dude. I'm really sorry about that. And it looks like that might not happen this week either. Doing what I can to keep things running here. I am bailing water out of the boat because we're gonna stay floating, I guess. Try to think of a better word to say that, but I guess there isn't one. Man, my throat hurts. Ugh. Mecha Menace and Death Adder both left comments on a video I put out last night. Last night I was working on CME because I didn't have any. I did the van casts or captain's logs as I'm calling them now, and I didn't have it in me to put an actual to paste everything together. So I sat down and worked on CME a little bit to try and calm myself. And one of the things I'm doing with Community Modular and Electronic is it's like ambient music, ambient sounds, that sort of stuff, where it's not necessarily music, but just calming noises. There was like an experimental collaboration over on Battle of the Bits a little while back. It was called like the Make It Stop, and there's some cool stuff that came out of it. So we did a release like this. It was like Calix or something. I can't exactly remember how to pronounce this person's screen name, but it was like a 20-minute VCV rec ambient jam, and I thought it was cool. I dug it. I dug the idea. I wanted to dig a little deeper and just see what we could come up with. So I decided to get compilations off the ground, and I started one last night, and I sat down to explain the rules of the compilation and explain what I was doing, and what actually came out was like a wrestling promo. It's completely unplanned, but that's what came out. I just slipped into the 1990s Hulk Hogan / Randy Savage, and that's just where I stayed through the duration of the video, and that's what I made it, a weird pro wrestling amalgamation of ambient sound. And my favorite quote from the video is "Good vibes and steel chairs." I love it. I don't care if that whole compilation is a bust. I love that little introduction video. So yeah, that's the thing I'm working on with CME is I got out the grand piano VST, and I noodled around a little bit with the piano, and then I also have a sample pack of like field recordings, like a creaky boathouse in Iceland or something, with a bunch of reverb and a grand piano over it. Just real chilled out stuff. Did some recordings like that. So the promo video had a couple comments. Mecha Menace writes, "The vein is going to burst." And yeah, he's right. It's funny, I had a big headache after I did that. I can't keep that up for long. But my goodness, was it ever fun. Oh my goodness. And Death Adder writes, hold on a second. There's another one for your timestamps. Hemrock. Death Adder writes, "There's the wrestling promo to go with the Triple H hairbeard combo, brother." That was so much fun. So much fun. And we made it through another week, boys and girls. This is the September series here on TCR. This is all about sticking with it. I remember being young. And my older brother, who I used to idolize as a kid, loved this guy. When he got married, I remember talking to him and talking to him about video games, because I was still single and young, and he was now a family man, and he was explaining to me, look, I just don't have time for this kind of thing in my life anymore. I like video games, but I don't know when I would play them. It just never happens. And I remember thinking to myself, that's never going to be me, man. Yes, I'm going to get busy, but there's so many different types of games out there to fit every situation. I'm sure we could find something. I could find, you know, and this is the thought that I'm having in, like, I don't know, 1999 or something like that. Like, I'm sure I could find a Tiger Electronic game or get a Game Boy or something and sock it away in my life. So these September shows, I really feel like I'm putting that mentality to the test, right? There's still games to be played. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'll go to the bathroom and I'll play Pinball FX2 or Zen Pinball on my phone. And that'll be my gaming. I think that's what adulthood's all about, man, is you gotta find those little moments. And that's where we can really dig in and explore and have a good time, is in those little moments between handling our responsibilities. And that's what I'm going to leave you with, boys and girls. Find those little moments where you can dig in and still find a good time, even when you're super busy. Because in those little moments, that can be enough. Alrighty. I'm too tired to throw in the outro music. That might honestly be gone until October, which is only a couple weeks away, so bear with me. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out. I'll see you guys next week.